right, I'm just gonna go over this one example on the second page because I don't have time to do a video of the entire thing. So if you need more help after I go over this first example, then please come into tutorials, okay? So I'm just gonna run through these 3 steps. It's kind of actually 4, I'm just going to run through. These are the steps that you would do anytime you want to factor a quadratic trinomial. So if you've already looked at the first page, which I hope you have, remember any quadratic trinomial is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, if we write it in standard form. So remember, the a is the number in front of the x squared, the b is always the number in front of the x, and the c is always the constant hanging off on the end. Okay, so when we factor a quadratic trinomial, we're going to factor by grouping, and you need to know how to do it this method, not any other method. So if you have a private tutor or someone helps you at home or you Google it or whatever, please look for the factoring by grouping method because it is a requirement that you know how to factor by grouping, especially when you get to geometry and algebra 2. Okay, so we definitely want to be learning it through this method, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to figure out what 4-term polynomial did we add to get this. Let me refresh your memory. I'm gonna go way back here. This is the first page of our notes, if you haven't gotten this far. So we learned 2 days ago that in order to multiply 2 binomials together, we just double distribute, or you can do the box method. But when we do that, we get these 4 terms, right? And so when we get those 4 terms, we're always going to be able to add the middle 2 terms because they are like terms. And that's what gives us that 1x term in the middle. Well, today we're going backwards. So we're going to start with a 3-term quadratic trinomial. You're going to be given that. Your job then will be to take it back to its original 4-term. So notice the only difference between the 3-term and the 4-term is we're splitting it back up to figure out what 2 x's combined to give us the middle x. The 3x squared and the -10, they didn't change, right? So they just get brought down. But we're looking for this. And then once we have it written as its 4-term, then we can factor it and write it as 2 binomials, okay? So that is our plan. All right, so now that we know our plan, let's go back to this example. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a number puzzle. And if you haven't looked at the number puzzles, you should go back to this page up here and look through that. So for the number puzzle, we're going to make an X. And this right here tells you how to create the number puzzle, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply the a times the c. And remember, the a is the number in front of the x squared and the c is the number in the back. So a is 5, c is -4. Don't forget to put that negative with the 4. They belong together. So that gives me -20. And that's the number that's going to go in the top of our number puzzle. All right, so this is a times c that we're putting up here. And the number that goes on the bottom of the number puzzle is the b value, which is the number in the middle. As we can see, that is +8. So we're going to put him here. That's the b. Oops. Let me fix it. And now we need to complete the number puzzle. So what we mean when we complete it is we want to know what are the only 2 numbers in the world that will multiply to give us -20, but add to give us 8. Multiplies to give us -20, but adds to give us 8. Okay, and so I am going to, I'll show you how to do that on the calculator in a minute. So we know that that is going to be a 10 and a 2, but in order to get the 8s, it has to be a -2, and that's also what's going to give us the -20. So that's the answer to our number puzzle. And not only is that the answer to my number puzzle, I don't want to highlight that, that's also telling us how we got this 8x term in the middle. Before we combined those like terms to get the 8x, it was a +10x and a -2x that got us there. And then I'm just going to bring down the outside terms. So this is step number 1. Do the number puzzle so you can figure out what these numbers are so you can break up that middle x term into what his 2 terms were originally, like after we double distributed before we combined those like terms. This is the hardest step right here. If you can get to this point, then you are good, right? And so now you'll notice we have 4 terms, and none of those terms have a GCF, right? All together, all 4 of these do not have anything in common. But in math, we love 4-term polynomials because it's an even number, which means I can split it in half. So I'm going to draw a little line down the middle, and now I can take the GCF of each side independently. So I'm going to take the GCF of these 2 terms and the GCF of these 2 terms independently, since they don't all have a GCF, but the left 2 do and the right 2 do. So on the left, I can take out a 5x as the GCF. And this is what we did on our homework the other day. So I'm going to take out a 5x, and that's going to leave me with x plus 2. Then I'm going to go to the other side. And guys, remember what we learned the other day. If it starts with a negative, you do have to take out a negative. So if that's a negative after my little dashed line, you have to take out a negative. But not only do these 2 terms have a negative in common, they have a -2 in common. So I am going to take out a -2. So I'm basically dividing out a -2 from each of these terms to see what's left. And that's going to give me x plus 2. And this is when I do a little happy dance. I'm going to put a little smiley face because my parentheses at this point should be identical. The stuff inside the parentheses should be identical. And I hope you're recognizing this because this was on our homework last night. Oh, now I have a binomial. And notice this binomial, each one of those terms has a parentheses of x plus 2 in common. So now we're going to do the GCF one more time. We're going to take out the x plus 2 they have in common. And then if we divide out the x plus 2, let me scooch that down a little bit. Just like we did on our homework last night, if I divide the x plus 2 out of each of these terms, well, the x plus 2's cancel. And what's on the outside is my leftovers for my GCF factoring. So 5x minus 2. And ta-da! There are the 2 binomials that multiply to give me 5x squared plus 8x minus 4. All right, and so that is our process. You do the number puzzle so you can split up your x's. And then once you have your 4 terms, you do the GCF 3 times in a row. GCF of the left, GCF of the right, and GCF taking out the common parentheses. And there you have it. And you can always check your answer by foiling or double distributing or doing the box method, whatever you'd like, and see if you get the problem that we started with. And that's it. Those are your steps. And if you ever get lost, the steps are described over on the left-hand side there, or you can go into the notes on Canvas and all of the examples are worked out step by step, just like this one, right? The process never changes. It's the same 4 steps. So once you get, 5, 6, 7 under your belt, right, it tends to start making a lot more sense. So just give them a try and then let me know if you have any questions. All right. Bye, guys.